Hello and welcome to Community Service Spotlight. I'm your host, Bud Qualk, and today we probably have the largest local community service, so stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hello, welcome back. Yes, we have Paducah Cooperative Ministry here today, and we have Heidi Suhrheinrich.
Hi there.
Got that right?
Yes, beautiful,
okay.
beautiful.
And Sheila Forrest. And we're going to talk about all your services that you have today.
Yes.
I think that's going to be, our listeners are going to be very surprised at all the things you do, because I was surprised when I came down and we started talking about this, and then you do this, and you do this. So tell us about the different ones, just real briefly, and then we'll go into each one of them in more detail.
Okay. Well, Paducah Cooperative Ministry, first of all, is a mouthful, so we're sometimes called PCM.
I was worried about that.
I know, it is a bit of a mouthful. It is a cooperative. It's a cooperative effort of area congregations to respond to basic human needs in our local community. So this is Paducah Cooperative Ministry is the only one, and it's very local, and it was established back in 1973, so we're over 40 years old.
You haven't been with it the whole time?
No, I have not, no. Yeah. But I had some big shoes to fill when I came on board. Yeah. But the goal is to be an extension of these congregations by making the best use of resources to respond to basic human needs, by being good stewards, by being efficient and effective in getting the help out where it's needed. So that's how we got started back in '73.
Now, but you joined, how long have you been with?
I think it's been about 16 years.
Okay.
Is that all right? Yes. Sheila's been with us 17 years and I've been with us 16 years.
Okay, about the same time then?
Yeah.
You're both newbies.
We compare notes now and again just to make sure we both remember.
Well, why did you do this? What led you into this? Did you take a thing in college or something about helping with just volunteer?
I've always been interested in working with this particular population. I'd done some work with abused and neglected children up in Indianapolis for a time, and when I moved to Paducah about 20 years ago, I began working for my church, the Lone Oak United Methodist Church, and I was there for about 4 years, and it was there that I first heard of the Paducah Cooperative Ministry. But it really wasn't until I visited the ministry for myself and met with the director then, Joanne Ross, that I got a sense of what all PCM does and what the heritage is for this community. So
you did a lot of volunteerism. That was in your blood. It's in my blood too, mm-hmm. to volunteer and work with groups like this. I can go on and on about some of the things I did, but that I see. You were hired then, or did you volunteer for them then? Is that how you got started?
Well, I was told about the director getting ready to take retirement.
Perfect timing.
And it was a couple people who thought that I might be able to do the job. They had more confidence in me than I think I had in me, but said, you ought to go down and apply for it. And so I did some praying about that, and then walked in and, just said, if it's meant to be, then God will help.
It must have been meant to be, it sounds like.
Yeah, I've been there 16 years, and I'm still learning how to do my job, hopefully better and better every day that goes by.
Something new every day, probably.
Yeah, you never arrive. You're always working at learning more and more and trying to do a better and better job every day you're there.
Well, let's talk about some of the services you provide now. Which one?
I think people associate us most with food, emergency food, because that's how we got our start back in 1973, was just a couple of congregations that created a cooperative emergency food pantry. And so a lot of people think of us in terms of macaroni and cheese and tuna fish and peanut butter, because we provide an awful lot of groceries and emergency assistance to relieve hunger in our community. And I think that surprises people to know that there is such a need. But this past year especially, Bud, we've been seeing pretty high numbers. It's not uncommon in this year to see at least 500 households that come through the ministry for emergency grocery assistance. So we go through a lot of peanut butter and macaroni and cheese and tuna fish.
Well, can just anybody go down there, or are there some guidelines to who gets the
They have to be a resident of McCracken County, and we can assist up to 5 times a year for a household. And so we just look to see if we've helped them 5 times already this year. We ask for identification, we ask for social security numbers, and verification of how many are in the household. If it's a 6-member household, then we need a little information about all 6 members. Not that people are dishonest as a rule, but now and again folks might be so desperate that they would stretch the truth a little bit and claim maybe some more household members than they really have, or some that are only there part-time. So we try and ask for verification and hold folks to be accountable and responsible for the assistance.
Now, is that on a computer now? I noticed that, and it's not because we think people are dishonest, but like you said, you want everybody that needs to get some. You don't want just a few to get most of it. And
it's important to be good stewards of the resources, so we do try and keep good records, and you know, folks don't remember when they were with us last, you know, and so we can pull it up and say, tell them, you know, we helped you with a financial assist last September. So in case of the emergency financial assistance, they can only get help once in a 12-month period. So we can look it up and say you won't be eligible for assistance until next September, for example. So it tells us what we've done and make sure that we've got the right household.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what if I think I might be eligible? I'm in bad. I've had some bad luck.
Right.
How do I do that? Do I just walk in down there? There's a phone number I can call, or how do you do it? How would I do that?
Well, most folks just walk in. We're open from 9 to noon and 1 to 3:30, Monday through Friday. And although you can certainly call as well, and that number is 442-6795, area code 270.
Say that again.
It's 442-6795.
Okay.
And that's with the area code 270. And folks can call and ask, what do I need to bring with me? And we'll talk them through it. And when people come in, for example, with emergency financial assistance, we're going to ask that they have a disconnect notice because we want to get the most critical cases first, or a rent eviction notice. And then we're going to sit down and talk to them a little bit and try and get a clear picture of what's been going on in that household that's caused them to have this need.
Okay, well, tell us where your location is, too.
Okay.
What?
We're on the south side, just off of the Irvin Cobb Drive, and we use Mike Smith Kia dealership as our landmark because we're right behind his car lot, and directly across the street from us is the American Legion. Our address is 402 Legion Drive.
Okay. Well, good. We'll say that again at the end of the broadcast.
Okay.
If I don't go brain dead, of course. Okay. Well, what about the senior commodities? I know that's another one of. That's really basically the same, or is that different?
No, it actually is a different food program. Every county in the state, or the Commonwealth, I guess I should say. You can tell I'm not from here. Every county in the Commonwealth administers this federal program, and it's for low-income senior citizens of that county. And there are 3 requirements: that they be at least 60 years of age, that they reside in McCracken County, and they meet the federal income guidelines. The folks in Frankfort do the math and figure out how many slots each county will get. So for Paducah Cooperative Ministry, we're given 378 slots, which means persons, that we can provide monthly supplemental commodities for. And so they provide the food for us and we do the paperwork. And once a month, this particular population, these low-income seniors that are over the age of 60, come in and get 2 bags of groceries that will have cereal and juice and cheese and powdered milk and things like that just supplements their nutritional needs, and that's completely different from the emergency food pantry, even though the food may look similar.
Yeah, my stepmother, Ann Qualk, does that in Mayfield. I know you all work together on that, but they have a big waiting list in Mayfield. What do you
I know we have at least 40 folks that are on our waiting list that we hope to accommodate as quickly as possible.
And what one drops off the list, and you have to call those people, or you get to call those people and get those on the list.
Right. If somebody doesn't show up, we're going to try and get in contact with them. If we haven't seen or heard anything from them for a month or 2, then we'll probably assume they're no longer interested, and we'll bring somebody up from the waiting list and get them going.
You don't contact the authorities and say, hey, you better go check on Joe over here. He didn't show up for
No, we don't do that.
That would be good. That would really be a big job. You have to put somebody.
Yeah, we stay pretty
payroll.
busy down there too. We figure if a person is interested and needs the service, they'll get in touch with us at least and let us know.
Now, Sheila, what's your part? You are
I'm
direct-
the Homeless Shelter Director.
Director, okay,
Yes.
Homeless Shelter Director. And so why don't you tell us about that a little bit? How do you, you have a couple beds, or you got a lot of beds, or where are you located?
We are right now we lease 5 buildings that are homeless shelters from Paducah Housing Authority. So we sit in the Elemental community, back off in the little cul-de-sac area of Elemental.
I know where that's at.
Yeah, and each apartment has 4 or 5 bedrooms. So it's kind of hard to go by beds because in one room there may be one full-size bed, but you can get a mom and 2 or 3 children in there together. So we just go by basically the number of persons, and we can usually accommodate up to about 40 people, 30 to 40 people, depending on the ages and the sizes.
Yeah, yeah. Now, again, how do you qualify for that? If you're, do you have to fill out an application and?
Well, as simple as it sounds, you do have to be homeless, and we have to be able to verify that a person is homeless. We will let a person self-declare that they're homeless, but generally we like for someone else to be able to help verify that they're homeless, whether it's a relative that's putting them out that will say that they can no longer stay there, or another agency that can verify that they're homeless.
And the homeless people that you see, most of them are local, or are they moving from one place to another, or?
The majority are local. Our population has grown as far as women and children, families, because it seems like homeless children are the fastest growing population in homelessness nationwide.
So sad.
Isn't that alarming? And we see little tiny children. We've had babies that have been born to mothers while they're residing in the
there.
shelter,
Yes.
gotten their start. We're glad to be there, but because if we weren't there, it's hard to imagine what this mother who was 9 months pregnant would have done. You know, she would have been so desperate, she would have, I don't know. I really don't know.
Baby
We
may have died
worry
or
about
something,
that.
yeah.
Right.
they wouldn't
And
have got
so
the
we're
right
glad
care.
to be there, but we also grieve a little bit that this child has gotten a start in a homeless shelter. And so we work really hard with the parents to try and give them the best possible start and a bright future as best we can.
Now, how long can you get? 2 weeks? Is that and you're out, or?
No, they start out with 30 days, and then it can go up. We've got a young lady that's been with us now since October. She's waiting on housing. She's been approved. She's working. She's just waiting on an apartment. So as long as they can maintain and follow the rules and continue to do the things that are required, they can continue staying.
Here's the thing, Bud. Housing is really a problem, not just in our community, but in other communities across the nation. Affordable housing. Folks that we serve most often are employed, but they're working at our Taco John's and our Walmarts, and they may not have full-time hours, and they're working hourly wage. And so it's very difficult for them to afford something in the private sector. And so the safety net is subsidized housing, which is where you only pay 30% of your income for your rent and the rest is subsidized. But unfortunately, the need for that is huge right now. And so our folks are on long waiting lists, doing everything they can, saving money, just waiting for that apartment to come through. Or they're maybe finding some people that they can double up with, So.
I was going to say, if you're on the waiting list, where are you at waiting for that to open up? Is there's not many other places that are available?
No, there isn't.
For a single adult, Paducah Housing Authority is the only agency that leases to them that's subsidized if they're not disabled.
Oh my.
So that's those 1 bedrooms and those efficiency apartments. Our couple
like
of our
gold.
residents have been with us for 9 months, doing everything they can, but just waiting for an apartment to open up. If you're a single mom with some children, there are a couple other options, so it may not be as long for them to get an apartment as it is for a single adult.
Oh my. Well, it sounds like most of the people that are there are encouraged to get a job, and most of them have jobs. You're saying they're not jobless; they're just homeless, and they can't get back in that one big step. I hear so much on TV about the minimum wage hike. I know somebody raised it the other day, I think it stayed almost to $15. That would really be huge, wouldn't it? That'd put them almost back into the lower middle class.
Almost. Of course, we don't know what rents are in that community.
Right.
You know, it may just be comparable to what it is here. But Sheila works really hard with each individual that comes into the shelter. We're not just a place where you have a safe place to sleep at night, provide a bed. We provide food, we provide transportation assistance, and a whole lot more, which I'm going to let her talk about. What happens when a woman comes in for the first time?
In the course of a day, when they first come in, they're given personal items, shampoo, deodorant, toothpaste, that kind of thing, because most of the time they don't even have that. And, you know, it's hard to look for a job if you can't take a shower and change clothing. I'm going to help with telling them where they can get clothing. We have one clothing store that donates clothing to us, so sometimes I'll have some things that they can use, but also I encourage them immediately to get out into the community. Sitting down, feeling sorry for yourself is not the answer. I'll tell them a lot of times, I'll give you 20 minutes for a pity party, and then you've got to get back up and you have to keep moving.
Yeah.
You got to keep moving. Nothing can be done from the living room.
Yeah. Is that part of your stand-up routine you were
It's
talking
part
about
of my
earlier?
stand-up routine. You know, I've found that one of the best things that you can do for someone is to make them smile, to make them laugh. And I appreciate the fact that God gave me the gift of gab and the ability to make people laugh. You know, they may say, Sheila, can I ask you a question? And I'll say, April 3rd, 1962. So then they'll go, what? I mean, could you ask me a question? There's you an answer. So then it'll stop them for a minute, and I have confused
They
them
have
a
to
few
stay
times,
on
and they
their
go,
toes.
I don't remember what I was going to ask you now. So I tell them, you know, else I say, when they say they forgot, I say, well, you should write it down, but don't lose the paper.
Right. You know, but a lot of our folks come in and they're just overwhelmed. They don't even know where to start. Yeah. And coming into the shelter could be to feel like a safe harbor, and they just want to sit and rest and regroup. But Sheila gets them up and going and out the door. They have to be out from 9 to 4 every day, Monday through Friday, about their business of the day. And she really helps them break down the process into small steps. Let's do this, then we're going to do this, then we're going to do this. And if they're still having trouble, we have what we call a daily sheet, where they have to imagine the next day and where they want to go and how much time they think it will take. So they begin the process of learning how to plan their time and plan their day and establish priorities.
So you're not allowed to be in the shelter from 9 to 4?
Well, no, some can't. It depends. If they already have a job, depending on what their work shift is, then they're going to be at home because they don't go to work until the evening.
Right, midnight,
It could be their day off, and if they don't have anything else that they're needing to do, then they can be at the house. So there are those that are there during the day sometimes. It just depends on what's going on in their life. I spend a lot of time with each individual person, getting to know them, you know, their likes, their dislikes, and tailoring what I do to each individual. And it has worked for 17 years.
Yeah.
Now, do you have a staff that works with you or volunteers that work with you?
I have one person that works on weekends to relieve me on weekends. The rest of the time, Monday through Friday, it's me.
We provide housing for Sheila, so she is actually living right on site, and so
well, that's handy.
Yes, yeah. She's able to keep an eye on things. She's sort of like a firefighter, you know,
okay.
that has the coat and the shoes and the umbrella by the door, because if something happens in the middle of the night, they know to come and get her, and she may be calling an ambulance or, you know, letting somebody in that came in late and you know, needed some help. You just never know. So she's always at the ready, and I can't say enough good about this woman. She's this is a gift. Not everybody can do this kind of
person.
Right, to build relationships and build rapport with people and to gain their trust, so that then they start to listen to the wisdom that she has to give.
Have you canceled her retirement yet? You told her?
What is retirement? I hear that
I just
word.
try and get her to take a vacation now and again.
I don't know what that is either.
Oh me. Now, the shelter, that you don't help them with their food or anything like that? Or?
They can get food at our food pantry. They get that when they first come in, but then they're also encouraged to go and apply for food stamps, because each one of our shelters is just a little house. There's a kitchen, utility room with a washer and dryer, so they can do their own laundry. Oh yeah, most definitely. A lot of people come in and it really is the best they've lived in a long time. So one of the things that I'm working with a lot is personal skills, life skills, as far as I had to help a lady teach her how to iron, because she'd never ironed before.
Oh my. Yeah, you think about, well, I haven't ironed a whole lot, but to think somebody has never had the clothes that needed to be ironed, maybe they did, but they just wore them wrinkled.
Right.
Maybe.
Or they use the dryer. And I'm also the electricity police, so when I walk in and the dryer's going and there's one piece in there, I take it out and go, look, you need to put this on the ironing board and iron it. So that
She does a wonderful job teaching life skills, because our goal is to break that cycle of homelessness and give them the skills that they need to be able to maintain a place of their own. But we can't assume that everybody starts at the same place.
Yeah.
Some people know how to budget money. Some people don't know how to budget money at all. Yeah. Some people know how to keep a house clean. Some people have never learned that. We don't know what their own personal backgrounds and the type of home they grew up in. And so Sheila meets them where they are. Yeah. And figures out what they need to learn. And we also provide mental health counseling. We have the benefit of a counselor that comes from Four Rivers Behavioral Health every Wednesday, and just talks with the ladies one-on-one if there's depression issues, anxiety issues, helps them to cope and to keep moving forward.
Okay, well, there's another program we want to make sure we cover, at least is it Fresh Start?
Fresh Start,
Fresh Start?
Right. That's probably our newest program, and it's for women coming out of incarceration, and providing services to them and helping to break that recidivism cycle. So many of them go back over and over again, and it's because when they get out, if there are no support services, if they don't have somewhere safe to live and they don't have any money coming in, they can't find a job because they've got this criminal history, there aren't many options for them. So the Fresh Start program begins with a weekly session in the jail with women that voluntarily come in and work through a curriculum on cognitive change. How does change happen, and how do you make it stick, and all of that. And then we have the outside services, which is a support group, and then a residency with up to 8 beds for women that come out of incarceration in a homeless condition. And so we want to break the cycle of recidivism and homelessness both.
So most of these are not murderers or violent criminals.
Right, they're nonviolent offenders. Typically there are drug charges or cold checks or maybe theft charges, and so that we work with those women and help them to get a fresh start.
And that sounds like a great idea, because I can just picture myself, when I get out of prison, that's going to go with you the rest of your life. And 20 years from then, you're still going to have that on your resume, or when you go to get a job or do anything. So it's and like you said, it's a catch-22. You want to get a job, you want to start fresh, but you're not able to because you're past college. And I was very surprised. You say most of these ladies, that if they don't get this kind of thing, they're going to go right back into prison probably.
They sure are. They sure are. They don't want to, but number one, they have to believe that something's possible that's different for them, and then they have to have somebody to walk alongside of them to show them how it can be done. Otherwise,
have somebody believe in them.
Right, help, so they can learn how to believe in themselves, because most of them, their self-esteem is rock bottom, and so they don't believe that something better is possible for them.
I would have thought that once I go to jail, that's going to be such a bad experience. I am never going back there again, but I guess...
They don't intend to. But once you hit the sidewalk, panic sets in, fear sets in, that little voice inside your head starts telling you can't do it. But I'll tell you what, we've got some ladies at the Fresh Start House right now that are working full-time, they're saving money, they are so charged up and positive and excited about their lives and doing things that they only dreamed about now, and have received good community support. So it is working. It is working.
So this is really similar maybe to the homeless shelter. You have places where they stay, and you work with them, like you said, on getting a job and get their self-esteem on it. So that is and you don't want to know where that location is, probably.
Well, it's not a drop-in site as the office at 402 Legion Drive is. It's more set back so that they can carry on their life experience.
More private.
Anybody who has a question about any of PCM's programs and services ought to just give us a call at that phone number, 442-6795, or come down and see us at 402 Legion Drive, and that's where we start from for all of the programs.
Behind the Kia.
Behind Mike Smith Kia.
Yeah. Now,
absolutely.
How do you find, some of this stuff is expensive, salaries for a few. How do you finance this? Is this government grants or?
No, it's almost completely local funding. We've occasionally gotten some help from the Kentucky Housing Corporation, which is paid for half or more of the shelter in some years. It's a little bit uncertain as to whether that will continue for us or not. So local funding is the bedrock of this ministry, and it's like a patchwork quilt or a stained glass window. You know, all of those individual gifts, whether it's canned goods, whether it's financial assistance, whether it's volunteer hours, all of those things come together one by one, and that creates the whole ministry, and that's the beauty of it.
Now, so if I wanted to give some money to that, I'd make just phone call or drop in again. Just
drop it in the mail.
You don't have fundraisers that you.
We have a fundraiser coming up. We don't do those too often, but we have something called the Moonlight Ride that'll be coming up. We're hoping to make that an annual event.
Sounds exciting. Is that on horses or?
No, on bicycles. Under the light of a full moon, 10 miles. And you put all your lights and your sparkly things and your glow-in-the-dark stuff, and it will be a very controlled ride through Paducah. And so this is the first year for it, and we're really anxious to see how that will go. But I think there's a lot of excitement out there about it, and I think it's going to go well. This is July 12th.
12th?
Yes.
July, that's just 5 days from now.
You're right, you're right.
Nobody's panicking yet.
Okay, well, maybe we'll have something about that on the Dan can stick that in there. Do you get a flyer or something like that goes with that? Maybe people.
We sure can. And Bike World are the folks to contact.
Bike World.
Bike World are they're the experts behind this, and they're the engine of this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to want to be a volunteer. You have volunteers, as you said.
Absolutely.
Too. And the same way, just drop by, call, and stop in, and you could always use more volunteers.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You don't have a waiting list.
No, but I think we have the best volunteer. I'm going to say that I think we have the best volunteers in the community because they are just awesome. Okay, now we're getting close to the end of the show. Would you give us your telephone number and location again? Sure. The phone number is 270-442-6795, and the address is 402 Legion Drive, and that's 42003. If anybody wants to send a check our way. And it's directly behind the Mike Smith Kia on the Irvin Cobb Drive. Okay. Great big letters on the building. I want to thank Sheila Forrest and Heidi Suhrheinrich. Beautiful. Is that close? Yes. Okay, for being here with us today. And I want to thank all of you viewers out there for tuning in. This is Bud Qualk. I'm your host for Community Service Spotlight, and we'll see you next time.